Live from the Pepsi Studios in New York City, it's the Hospitality Hangout Podcast with the restaurant guy and the finance guy.
Let's put them up. Let's put up our PepsiCo beverages, libations, Frisch and Family. Big fan of Starry. All about Starry.
I am loving the unsweetened pure leaf tea, Jimbo. I'm going to take a sip right now.
I'm going Don Julio and Starry. That's my new drink.
Jimbo,
and Starry.
Everything tastes better with Pepsi.
That's true. They probably don't love that. I just paired it with a little Don Julio. Listen, I want to welcome you more formally to the Hospitality Hangout, a hospitality-focused podcast where the founders of branded strategic hospitality share their insights and bring innovation and technology leaders that are making things happen in the industry we love. My name is Jimmy Frischling, otherwise known as the Finance Guy. I'd like to introduce my partner, Mr. Michael Schatzberg, also known as the Restaurant Guy.
And thank you for that kind introduction, Jimmy. And to all those listening, feel free to call me Shatsy. And together, we are the brains, the good looks behind branded hospitality ventures. Jimbo, we are at the intersection of capital, hospitality, restaurants, technology, innovation, and creative packaging.
I couldn't
Jimbo,
wait.
we do some creative packaging. If you're in the market for some creative packaging for all of your catering and takeout needs, well, let me tell you, this guy got to get the call first because I can get you some of the coolest stuff ever. And I got to tell you, we got a fantastic show.
How much caffeine is in the PepsiCo Pure Leaf product? How much caffeine they put in there?
I don't know.
You're fired up today. I can see you're
no, because I got to tell you, we had a great show, Jim. And you know what? I've been on the road for like a week.
Yes.
I mean, I was in Miami. I was in, where were we? Naples.
Yes.
I mean, it's been a lot playing golf.
Yes, I love your lanyard. Your name tag says Shatsy Schatzberg.
Yeah.
People want to know Shatsy Schatzberg.
What kind of mother do you have?
And I'm like, man, your mother hated you.
Who's your mom?
Anyway, listen, we do have a great show, and I always like to listen to how many things Brandon is sitting at the intersection of to know what kind of mood Shatsy.
Don't wait till next week, Jimbo. We're adding a few more verticals.
But Shatsy's not wrong about adding the creative packaging because we're very excited for today's episode. We not only get to introduce our friend and the CEO and co-founder of Supply Caddy, Mr. Zach Stein, but we also get to humbly say that we've just joined Zach and his co-founder Bradley and the entire team at Supply Caddy, and we're part of their cap table. We are proud that Supply Caddy has just become a portfolio company of branded hospitality ventures. They are sitting uniquely in the creative packaging space. And while that's not what this episode's about, nor we have some breaking news, and that's not it. But we are excited to welcome Zach as a partner and portfolio company. There are hundreds of people.
No, the studio's going nuts. Well, Zach, he's from Miami. He knows a lot of people, so clearly everyone's excited about Zach Stein. I mean, honestly. You didn't get applause like that for the CEO of whoever we had last week.
No, we didn't. And a good thing no one knows who the CEO last week was because the episodes don't go in the order of which we record them. But listen, we will get Zach.
But he's a good CEO, I'll tell you that.
Fantastic. We will get Zach involved with this podcast eventually. But before we do, you guys know that we launch our podcast. We air them on Tuesdays. We have our Trivia Tuesday, never to be confused with that fiercely competitive Taco Tuesday. This is just Trivia Tuesday. We own that. You guys all know how the game is played. Shatsy's very good.
We own Trivia Tuesday.
We own Trivia Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
We own Trivia Tuesday. All right. I'm going to give you 2 truths and 1 not true. 3 factoids. 2 are true. 1 is not true, also known as a lie, about Zach. And you stick around to the end of the episode. Shatsy will play. He's building up his batting average. He's getting back on track, getting it right. And we'll go along. We'll go along with that. So
I've hung with Zach a lot in the last couple of months, so I think I know this.
All right. Well, here we go. Here are the 3 factoids we have about
We've been drinking a lot in Miami.
Drinking a lot of Pepsi products only. All right. Fact 1. Zach and his co-founder, Bradley, met in jail. That's fact 1. He and his co-founder met in jail. Fact 2. Zach grew up in a town by the name of Oldsmar, Florida. Oldsmar. Shatsy's nodding. He feels very confident about Oldsmar. And fact 3, Zach got hired by Panera Bread when he was 16. I mean, that's a company that's done some good things. Ron Satch, that's a good one. But he didn't show up on his first day of training and got fired.
Yeah, I can see that.
So hired by Panera Bread when he was 16 years old. it was the AM PM. I bet it was the AM. He probably mixed up the AM PM.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this because I think I spoke to Zach about him and Brad, how they met, and I don't recall. I mean, I would have made a mental note if that was it.
Okay, but
I don't think they were in jail.
Maybe it's a planned words. Maybe it was actually in detention at school. It wasn't with jail.
I mean, it could have been in jail together. I don't think that's the first time they met. But you know what, Jimbo? We'll wait till the end.
That's why you got to play the game.
We'll wait till the end and we'll see. Because I don't think that's what it is.
All right, Chatsy, let's bring Zach in before he thinks this. We just have
to wait a minute, Jimbo. We don't just bring in guests. We got to figure out a little bit about how did Zach Stein, not just how did he get such gorgeous hair. Like Stalin, look at that hair. I mean, Jimmy, look at that. What do you use? Hairspray on something like that? I have no idea. But let me tell you something. First, we got to go back in time, right? And we have to go back to 2009. 2009 to Florida State University.
You scare me when you start using numbers and dates. But
no, because it's 2009 back in Florida State. And Zach, it's hot down there. It's hot in Florida, but he likes it. He likes it, but he doesn't know what to do. And should he be he really wanted to be a professional baseball player, and that's a good place to start. So he was like, should I play, for the Bucks in football? Should I play basketball with I think it was the Marlins looked at him or something like that?
I don't know where you're going, but keep going.
I'm telling you, the guy is an athletic man. He's a real sports. Forget about it. But he also wanted to be an agent. So he loved Jerry Maguire. The movie Jerry Maguire was one of his favorite. So he's like, should I be Jerry Maguire or could I be could Jerry represent him? So he didn't know. So he was thinking, sports marketing, sports memorabilia, or should I be an athlete myself? Now, Jimmy, you know a little something about athletes because you could have been a professional baseball player, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, except my coach and I had a disagreement.
Right. What did he say?
I thought I was pretty good. And he said, no, Jimmy, you're
not.
You're not.
Your coach didn't even good. But Zach, he has a lot of conflict in his brain, in his mind, and his parents are saying, you're not going to be a baseball player. What are you talking about? Jewish people don't play baseball. I mean, Sandy Koufax. I mean, that was like 1960 or something like that,
A little earlier, but okay. Keep going.
He got his MBA from Nova Southwestern Wayne Hswanga School of Business. Nova Southwestern School. Wayne Hswanga, School of Business. That guy was a rock star, right? Spent 8 years doing venture capital, early stage startups, incubating. And this, Jimmy, is where he got what he wanted. He's not baseball, CPG. He started thinking about products. What can I build? What can I sell?
For some of our listeners, what's that acronym stand for? CPG?
Consumer packaged goods.
Yes, thank you.
So he said to himself, this is something I love. That's not baseball. It's not football. It's packaged goods. I want to do something in packaging. Right? In packaging. Right. So it wasn't Panera. It wasn't skiing and baseball. Let's bring in Zach Stein and see what Shatsy got right. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, founder, CEO, COO, and chairman of the board, Mr. Zach Stein. How did we do? How much did I get right? Anything right? You did go to college at Florida State University, correct?
That might be the only thing you got right, but I love the introduction.
Yes. So I got that right. Wasn't there something on baseball or something?
Oh, you kind of nailed it. But I do want to say one thing. If you're the finance guy, you're the restaurant guy, can I be the packaging guy?
Yeah, you could definitely be the packaging guy. We've got something. Okay. You can be the packaging guy.
Yeah, of course you're the packaging guy. Who else?
I love it. No, the background was great. I spent my undergrad at Florida State, went to Nova Southeastern on MBA. To your point, got into venture capital, then got the restaurant bug. One thing we left out, my cousins and I co-founded a cold pressed juice bar here back 7-8 years ago, grew to a couple locations, learned the operational side and realized wasn't for me, and then got right back into where we are today with Supply Caddy.
I love it. Listen, and Chatsy, I was going to say, I don't think you got 70%. I think you're way under on that, but that's okay because Zach's now part of the show. He's in the program. And look, we love bringing on founders, We love people who are doing great things for the hospitality industry because we really do love the industry, and it's a treat to bring our newest portfolio company onto the show as well. But we love great stories, and I think if I could think of the headline that would foreshadow, your answer best, a great headline. 4 years ago, Supply Caddy didn't exist, and now, I don't know, some small company, Shatsy, Popeyes, Carl's Jr., and one of the fastest growing.
Oh, that chicken at Popeyes.
And one of the fastest growing brands in the country, Dave's Hot Chicken, are all customers of Supply Caddy. So from 4 years ago,
have to sell chicken to be part of Supply Caddy?
4 years ago, no Supply Caddy.
You gotta eat it.
And 4 years later,
you gotta eat chicken.
4 years later, boom. Okay, can you share with us, Zach, and our listeners, of course, how a global pandemic somewhat birthed your booming business, and it is booming, but very excited for you to share this.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, it was an interesting time. Pandemic had just hit. We sort of launched the business and helping companies source products, all different kind of stuff. Fast forward, we got a warm introduction to the chairman of the board at RBI at the time, which you guys know is the holding company for Popeyes, Burger King, Tim Hortons, and now Firehouse.
What's RBI stand for, Zach? Can you tell
Restaurant Brands International.
Thank you. Our listeners would love, I think that's something our listeners would like to know.
Nice.
There we go.
Based down in Miami, right?
Based right about 2 miles down the street from our HQ here in Wynwood. We get to go over there pretty often, so it's pretty kick-ass.
Did they give you like big, what do they give you, like Whoppers and stuff when you go there?
We don't often go to where they serve food. We're in the boring people with the packaging and supply chain and making sure that we get good products in the restaurant.
That's like in the basement probably, right?
It's coming to the forefront, baby.
Okay. I like it.
Listen, you guys know restaurants were closed during the pandemic. Third-party delivery became a necessity. A lot of these restaurant operators hadn't been using it to its full extent because they wanted to have that experience and have people dine in. Mom and pops that had a couple locations that put their blood, sweat, and tears into their restaurant, all the way down to their dollars and savings. And now it was a time for people to start paying attention to their packaging and their delivery mechanisms and how they're going to get those order accuracy and food out there correctly.
Like the 9-inch aluminum rounds that you put that's like not as cool anymore.
No, man. And who wants to look at that?
Because growing up, man, that was all you had, right, Jim? When you ordered from your pizzeria, what'd you get? You got a 9-inch round aluminum and the thing, and you cut your finger. You'd always cut your finger.
If I had a nickel for every time I cut my fingers, I know a lot of nickels.
You like a lot of nickels? Yeah, at least at
your hands look good still.
Yeah.
Listen, that tray's still good for transporting food. Keeps the food hot. We looked at the industry as a whole and we said, hey, what's going on? Where is supply chain as it relates to packaging, and how can we do something a little bit differently? And what we quickly learned was that this was a very archaic industry in the sense it's supply chain related to packaging, and how are we going to do something different? And we learned, because of the pandemic, and our first client, as you guys mentioned out of the gate, was Popeyes. They were single sourcing their packaging from one spot, one supplier, one manufacturer, and the pandemic coerced them to start thinking differently. And we started to think, that was our aha moment, guys. Like, hey, if Popeyes is going to start to think on doing supply chain differently in packaging, what other QSR brands and fast casual brands are going to, follow suit? And how can we take advantage of that in a good way and do things a little bit differently? And sort of the rest was history.
So is it fair to say, Mr. Zach Stein, live on the Hospitality Hangout, that Supply Caddy is making packaging sexy? Is that fair to say? Can we say that?
I don't know.
Great question. I do like that word.
Because I was in your office, and let me tell you, Jimmy, their office is sexy.
Sexy office.
And they showed me some of the packaging that they're doing for some of the brands you mentioned, which are the hottest brands in America. I dare say in the world. I dare say that. The packaging was sexy.
All right.
It was colorful. It was interesting. It made you, I didn't want to eat the food. I just want to eat the box.
Well, bring it on, man. We have to bring packaging back and make it sexy, to your point. Listen, it's the first opportunity for the brands to make a name out there and to drive people back to the restaurant. And what we found from the beginning of the pandemic through to now, how we're making packaging sexy, if you will, is we want to give these brands the opportunity to say who they are. And if you are sort of forced into a situation where you're using a catalog company and there's not real thought behind it. You know, the creativity, the marketing, the supply chain, the C-suite, the executives don't all get to work on something fun. We're trying to make it fun, but also talk to the operational side and make it useful for what's going on. Packaging used to be, hey, here's your box and put a hamburger in it. Now you have to think about third-party delivery. You have to think about operationally from the person who's running the restaurant. You have to think about the guest experience and how it eventually gets to the consumer.
That's what I was going to say. You know, it seems, Zach, that back in the day, because McDonald's always had interesting packaging, right? I remember like the cup. When I first got a soda from McDonald's way back when, and they had a little thing you push, like it was a diet. It was the Sprite. You
Still
pushed
there,
it, right?
baby.
And like no one else could do that because who else could afford to make plastic, things? Like no one else could do that. And they had the big ass straw with like only the big guys could have really cool packaging because only the big guys had design teams and could manufacture in such quantity that they could even afford to do it. And it is a marketing play. And now what you're doing is you're allowing smaller brands. You don't have to have 20,000. You don't have to be McDonald's to have really great packaging, which is really a brand identity. You're letting the smaller guy do it.
You're spot on. And I think it's important because there's two things, and you guys know this better than anyone. Not only are you trying to get the brand, the packaging that they deserve for the consumer, but a lot of these emerging growth brands that you guys work with and that you guys know, we're trying to get to other multi-unit operators and saying, hey, here's what we're doing. We're building a brand. Where else are we going to build that brand so we can sign up more units and open new stores? At the end of the day, that's what's happening. And packaging is just a small piece of it. But we get down to it, man. We get down and dirty. We go down to the facilities, the test kitchens. We literally bring measuring tape and we're measuring their food. Every chicken is different, the tender, the thigh, the size of the burger, the type of bun. We want to make sure that it's so custom down to the exact food that they're serving out so we can make this an entire experience for the brand that's using it.
You know what I would share, and I know we're having some fun and the packaging and packaging being sexy. I feel we should be calling Justin Timberlake and make sure packaging bringing sexy back is okay. But in all seriousness, I would say the pandemic. Branded launched our investment platform ahead of the pandemic, and we focused a great deal on the off-premise space because, look, Schatz and I and our restaurants have been in the business for over 30 years. Delivery off-prem used to be 1.5–2% of our sales for our full-service restaurants, and then over the years with the emergence of the Seamless Webs, the Grubhub, and the DoorDash, and all the other delivery service platforms, the delivery world started to increase, approaching 20%, and that's a topic for another show. But when the pandemic hit, it was off-prem only, and 50% of the restaurants in the U.S. were not even online, didn't even have off-premise offerings, and were not even online, and they had to get there. And while that became a surge and a tailwind for our off-premise technology solutions that we were involved in, I think what you saw was, packaging now is going to become these first impressions, and it's going to really represent the brand. I think going back to those old 9-inch, styrofoam, packaging was perfunctory. It was not even part of the consideration. But then it gets delivery
good enough to do the job.
Good enough to do the job. So I think
cheapest solution possible.
So I think you tapped into something that was really important. And in a world where Instagram and social media and other forms of the marketing, the content is really critical, what you're doing. So while we focused on it from a tech perspective and you focused on it from a packaging perspective, I do think there's an interesting intersection between the two, between essentially technology and the supplies. So while you're selling a physical product, there's still an element of tech that's driving your business and your business decisions. So with the future of packaging, what do you think? Have sensors? Are we going to know if items might be missing from the package? How do you see, the role of tech playing in packaging as we go forward?
I think it's a great question. I think tech needs to be at the forefront. I mean, we use technology mostly for our supply chain, specifically a company called Suchi that we, we're looking at the Oracles and NetSuites of the world, and we couldn't find the custom solution that we needed. So similarly to what you guys and your mentality is, we actually invested into a company that was emerging, had just raised their Series B, and we're like, listen, we can make this custom to be able to use us, but how are we going to use this supply chain software and related it to packaging outside of keeping track of our inventory and SKU management and all the other things? But you guys have seen a lot in the tech space. I mean, we got into drone delivery. just in sort of the infancy of what's going on. There's censoring going on in the third parties, the DoorDashes, and we actually did a cool project with DoorDash on that and trying to change the packaging mechanism of how that product is getting delivered and simulating how long the average order takes to get in and around a geographical area. So I think tech in packaging as it relates to QSR and fast casual is still early on. It would be cool to incorporate things like that, as you just mentioned, censoring. I know one of the big brands early on, before this became sexy, was doing some of that on a French fry carton. They were literally having a temperature meter on the bot. You pulled something off, and it would go into an app to say, hey, fries are still hot for 12 more minutes, 15 more minutes. It was Japanese technology at the time. It didn't take off, but that's where our head is at, like seeing how we can incorporate some of these new things that don't just go out to like the outer packaging, but making sure that the product at the end of the day is the same experience as that consumer would experience inside the store.
Yeah, and I think getting back to the branding and the marketing, because at the end of the day, the stuff has to, it's not just how good the food is. It's like, I think, Jim, you said that, like Instagram and social media is so important today. And these influencers, it's not just the food. Now it's like getting the food, the packaging, how it looks. A lot of people aren't even getting deliveries. They're going to the stores and picking up. And there's these, the pickup pods or windows or areas, and all the packaging is there. And it's almost like a piece of the furniture or the decor of the restaurant. When you walk in, you don't want to just have a bunch of brown bags or white bags. It's beautiful, like beautiful bags and packaging and people. It's really important. It's a whole, right now, it's all part of the whole ecosystem of your brand. And I think we talked a little about earlier, but let's get a little more into it. That this only was for the biggest brands that could afford to, I got to run, 100,000 bags or I can't get a decent price. So I have to just buy this crappy white plain bag, But now you guys are doing a lot of custom packaging, custom size, and you're actually able to do some smaller orders for brands that maybe you've got 25 or 50 units. You're not 1,000, maybe it's 100 stores, right?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And I think what we're trying to do is find the good stories surrounded by the brands. Even if you're a 2, 3, 4 location, we all know how hard it is to launch a restaurant. Giving those brands the support they need and not having to deal with 10 different packaging suppliers on 10 different SKUs. We're trying to consolidate all of that into one point of reference, if that's our team, and making sure that process is manageable for them and saying, hey, listen, let's test a few products for you. This is not the end all be all. Let's figure out what's perfect for you. And the ability to go down to a store level to see how important from the culinary side to the supply chain people this package is. And it goes back to what you're saying. You don't have so much control what's out there on social media. There's all these people that are visiting your location, getting food delivery, and they're posting on their own. So making sure that brand story and identity is cohesive and streamlined across the whole thing, let's rock and roll. I mean, the stories that are out there are so incredible when you hear the husband and wife who launched a biscuit place and now they go to 4 to 8 locations and then they go to 8 to 16 and then they're like, hey, you know what? We think we want to franchise and build this brand. Let us build that brand with you from the ground up and show how kick-ass we can actually make this.
I would just add that when Branded looks at companies, if I can say the single most important investment thesis we have is we talk about being operator centric. And what that means is that the technology, the innovation, I would put, Zach, your company more the innovation side because there is a physical element to it, but it's got to be operator centric, meaning it's got to be an ally to these brands. It's got to be good for the brand. It's got to focus on their needs and wants. And nothing, I think, suggests more than that than what you're doing on the custom side. So I guess I must have done something right because I get to break some news. And I think we've already flirted with it a little bit by mentioning the name. But the fact is, the breaking news we have is that you've just launched a first of its kind custom packaging for our friends at Dave's Hot Chicken. You think about custom, you think about bespoke.
Lot of Dave's Hot Chicken fans out there.
So shout out to Dave.
So big shout out to Dave. A big shout out to
I tried the Reaper one time, by the way. I had the Reaper chicken.
Yeah?
Yeah. It was super hot.
Super hot. Okay.
You signed the waiver?
What can you tell us? What can you tell us about this first one? It was first of its kind custom packaging for Dave's Hot Chicken.
It's an interesting story. First of all, working with their team has been amazing. Their supply chain team, their executive leadership team, the franchisees who are so involved in their brand. This was sort of brought on because, as you guys know, they were launched in California, regulations on types of packaging and banning foam, which they had been in since the beginning.
The packaging in California has to be made out of organic agave skin or something like that?
It goes down to the seaweeds, baby. Yeah.
all bags must be made of seaweed or something in California. I think it's something like that, right? I read that somewhere. That's a fact. I read that.
And we just lost our West Coast audience.
I read that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, for Dave's, I mean, it was definitely a cohesive effort with their entire team. They were looking at options to get out of foam. There's not much that are out there because their food is so specific. So this project in particular, with the help of their team, took us 10 months. So people think that launching a new product that custom make it happens overnight, but we're so particular with their team on working raw material. It can be a different thickness. It could be different barriers. It could be different sizes. So we worked with their team on launching something very specific that could fit all 4 of their meals into one box. So they didn't have to have a bunch of different packaging. From an operational perspective, we got the feedback from the restaurant saying that, hey, we're using something as simply as Sharpie markers to mark off what meal it is. How can we eliminate that? We invested in a piece of tooling. We make what we call these little moon punch holes on top.
I love those. I saw that. It was so cool, man.
You did see it.
Yeah.
So, 10-month life cycle, different ways to incorporate the operators to make it easier, to make it faster, to bring all the packages into one, and to simulate third party. They have almost 800 grams of food per takeout order. When you stack those boxes and it ends up getting to someone, making sure that the boxes aren't breaking, the food's holding, positioning the vents in a certain way. And again, thanks to their team for letting us go at it. But this was 10 months down the road, and we made a pretty kick-ass product, and we're very proud of it.
I've never seen a package like this before. Really.
I think it's awesome. Shows they care.
It was absolutely fantastic.
Above and beyond just the food. Food is critically important. Of course it is. But also how it's packaged, how it therefore is being transported, keeping the heat, the freshness. It really does show that they care about their guests, which is awesome.
I love it.
It's
you know
awesome.
something? I mean, we could talk about packaging literally all day. All day, I can just sit and talk about packaging. However, we do have a very exciting new segment on the program, on the Hangout. It's called Name That Recipe. Zach Stein, Jimmy Frischling, are you ready to challenge Name That Recipe?
All right, I'll play.
Let's go, baby.
All right, you guys know it's a riff on Name That Tune.
It is?
Yes, it's a riff on Name That Tune, and you know how that works. I'm gonna give you how many recipe ingredients are in this recipe, and you tell me how many ingredients until you can name it. You know what I'm trying to say?
You're going to list ingredients and we name the dish?
Well, I'm going to say it's 7 ingredients.
Okay, 7.
Okay, 7 ingredients in this cocktail recipe.
Oh, cocktail.
In a cocktail. And
Okay.
you tell me how many ingredients you need before you can name that recipe.
Ranch water.
Is it...
Shaq's been loving the ranch water lately.
Ranch water. You get it. So, you can tell. So, Zach, how many ingredients do you think you need to name that recipe?
I don't know, man. I'm used to just drinking
something. Let me talk a little something here, okay, Jimbo?
Please.
QSR Automations has a new Recipe Plus. It's the new QSR Automations Connect Smart Recipe Plus.
Smart.
You eliminate recipe books, simplify training, you improve preparation quality, and it's easy to use recipe software. You're giving chefs, the cooks, the line cooks, administrators, managers, everyone one less thing to worry about in the restaurant, and they can focus on the guests and getting the food out. Don't worry about storing your recipes in a binder or scribbled on a piece of paper. The recipes are interfaced into your entire ecosystem on your KDS. Jimbo, on the KDS, all your recipes are there. So let me tell you something. If you don't think that's cool, I don't know what to tell you, Jimbo.
By the way, for our listeners, KDS, what's that acronym stand for?
Kitchen Display System,
How much
Jimbo.
important is that?
I got to tell you something, you know, from it.
What's that?
It's, I would say I would say it's the most important thing, but it is a very important piece of the puzzle.
I heard it's called the brain of the kitchen.
The brain, the POS is the heart, the KDS is the brain, and
brain.
the packaging is the soul, Jimbo.
The soul.
The
I like that.
packaging is the soul.
Soul.
But without that KDS, you used to have a write a piece of paper and stick it on the spin wheel. Then the dupes.
Yes.
The dupes get lost. Yeah, where's my food? Where's my food? I never got a ticket. I never got a ticket, right? I rang it in. Well, they lost it, right? So now you're helping with training. You're helping create a better guest experience. If you haven't seen what QSR Automation is doing with Connect Smart Recipe Plus, Jimbo, I implore every listener to check it out, because you can have the best packaging in the whole wide world, Jimbo, and the best point of sale in the whole wide world. But if you don't have the greatest KDS with Recipe Plus,
Yep.
you got nothing, Jimbo.
You got to connect smart.
You got nothing. You got it, yeah. All right,
right.
baby.
I dig it. I got to say, well done, Shatsy. Well done. Listen,
Yeah.
I want to move on to talking back. Shats and I started the podcast because we certainly enjoyed bantering and chatting a little bit, or more than a little. But we learned along the way sometimes our guest has a question or two for us. So, Zach, here's talking back. We're going to let you ask us anything that you like. I like to say nothing's off the table. Zach Stein, the microphone, my friend, is yours.
Grabbing the mic.
Grabbing the
I
mic.
have one serious question, one not so
But we're
serious
very
question.
serious people, so
Yes,
we can handle serious questions.
So just, based on what we see in the hospitality restaurant industry, I admire what you guys have been able to do, and, what you guys often say and what we often refer to you guys as sort of the microphone in the industry, and what you guys have done is simply incredible. And I ask you guys this question is, how do you sort of get and pick the winners behind emerging growth brands as an operator or a tech platform? Like, what are the top things you guys look at? We try to say we're pretty good at, looking at the emerging growth brands, but I'm curious, like, what's your guys' methodology on back end, whether it be a tech or operator platform?
It's a very cool question. Shats, you
It's a
wanna
great
take it?
question. I mean, for me, kind of sitting at the top of the funnel, if you will, I got to be honest with you. I think that one thing that resonates for me is it's the team. I mean, obviously, if the technology is doing nothing that you care about, then that's not. Or if the brand is, it's just terrible food, or it's just not cool. So having said that, obviously you like the technology, you think that what they're doing is solving problems. You like the brand, you think it's got real, you talk to people, they love it. Then it's the team. It's who are the folks behind this? Who are the folks that are going to be steering this ship? I think the team is just, it's really. To me, it's everything, and we have a very, very strict policy at Branded about the no factor. So really, what?
That's FCC violation.
That is not where podcasts don't even go on FCC. You can say that. You can say poopy, caca, doo doo. You can say that.
My
here,
daughter
Jimbo.
listens to the podcast.
And she doesn't like to say that.
Well, she does, but she's 7. Keep it clean.
Okay, well, keep it. But
classy.
I gotta be honest.
There you go.
I think the factor is very low, and if you have a good team that you really believe in, that's what you're buying into, I think.
I do like your answer. I'm going to add a little to it because we're in the NHL playoff season.
Rangers, big
well.
victor, huh?
Rangers doing well here. So I'm going to answer your question with a great reference to the great one, Mr. Wayne Gretzky, who, when asked what made him great, it was not skating to where the puck is, but anticipating where it's going. And I think to your question, particularly when it comes to brands, maybe even and tech companies as well, but particularly brands, I get really excited by a brand when they're, especially an emerging brand to your question, when they're anticipating, for example, where they feel their segment of the market is going. And there's certain brands out there, and we got good friends with Big Chicken, for example. And again, we love Dave's, but we're very good with Big Chicken. And for example, they're looking at who their audience is, who's their ideal customer. And even though the credit card data says it's people in the age of 40 to 55 years old, fact is it's Gen Z and their kids that are really driving the traffic. So when I think about emerging brands, really knowing their customer, knowing their ideal guest, and thinking about how to create an experience that is going to anticipate they're going to be the largest segment of the consumer market, Gen Z and Gen Alpha. So, of course, we have to cater to the current needs of the audience. But the fact is, where the guests are, where these brands are going to be going, that gets me really excited, especially when they start building a tech stack that is on brand for the future, or where they feel they're going to need to be. You know, I might be, or my father might be less tech savvy and less digital, but his grandkids, my nieces and nephews, are incredibly.
I've seen Carl. Carl, I would say your pop is one of the most tech savvy folks I know.
You finally learned how to text.
Yeah, so don't shit on your pop. He's a very tech forward guy.
He's got the big letters.
I talked to Carl tonight.
But my point is, Zach, I think the brands that quickly show us that they're really thinking about how to engage with their guests. I think the expression is meet their guest anywhere they wish to be, on premise, off premise, online. I think these are the things that get us excited. And the brands that can show us that they're basically leveraging the tech stack to help them achieve that efficiently, that to me is really exciting.
Love it.
What's the not so serious question?
Yes. Another question?
One last question. How in the world do you guys keep up with all your travel? Boom here, boom there, boom there. I can't get
I got to tell you, that is a good question. You know, it's just, thank goodness for, I think, the internet. And you could really just kind of, with the phone and the internet, we do it from anywhere, right? I mean, we're just away for a couple days.
I will tell you, it's not uncommon for me to wake up and not be sure exactly where I am sometimes. Like, am I home? What city am I in? But I will say
that could be too much Macallan from the night before. But Jimbo's still drunk.
But we've moved to an age where, Zoom calls and Microsoft Teams and digital calls and a lot of in-person meetings have gone away. And actually, to me, that makes the in-person events even more important because it's really the moment to be present, be in front of people. And I still think in-person is the most important thing. But I think we've shifted it from a lot of, let's say, meetings that now have been, for efficiency purposes, just done online. But it makes these events so important. So I like to joke, don't threaten Brandon, with a good time, because if you invite us to a conference, a summit, a workshop, we'll show up.
We show up, man.
But I do believe it's important to break bread. I mean, Schatz is a golfer. I'm not. So I can't play around at golf and get to know someone, but I want to break bread with them, sit at the table. And that, to me, is how I'm going to kind of get to know somebody. And you can't do that anywhere, any other way than in person.
Love it.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. And we're hospitality people, man. Yeah. So it's like we're going to Chicago on Wednesday.
Yep.
And then coming back and then going to Chicago again next week, the following week.
We'll see you there.
Yeah, man, it's great. But you get to really see, especially when you go to these events where they're just packed with great operators, great technologists, great investors. You could bang out a lot of and you got to be very efficient with your time. You can't, you got to make a lot of meetings and have great cocktails and stuff like that.
Five Ps.
The 5 Ps. Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Yes. You got to show up these events. You got to be prepared. You can't just wing it. If you got to spend the time and the money to travel, you got to be prepared when you're going there.
Yeah. All right. Listen, I got to tell you, Jimbo. Comments or answers?
There was a lot there. I gotta say, I'd have fun with each and every one of them, but that's not the way this segment works. So
I don't even know how it works, Jimmy.
Well, Zach, Schatz asked you about the Starbucks spicy.
you went right to your wife. I hope I'm not going down a bad roadmap here, but tell me about why. Travis, that Cloud Kitchens, we had a lot of thoughts on that. That could be an entire episode. Third-party delivery, of course, packaging. Spicy, the spicy Starbucks. I kind of want to know whether you threw in your wife. Please elaborate.
Little word association. She loves her Starbucks that I always order for her. She's a
Wells likes the
Cuban
Starbucks.
girl.
This guy.
By the way, you interrupted him on the key part there.
Oh, sorry.
She loves the Starbucks. Guy, Zach.
Loves her points.
But she's a spicy Cuban
Look at
Jewish
that.
personality. Put them together.
What's the
Starbucks
what is the
spicy.
Cuban Jew called?
Jubins.
The Jubin. I love
Spicy.
that.
I like that.
So she likes her spicy Starbucks.
I just spicy Starbucks, and she's that's a little spice there. No, by the way, no one. I meant not no one. Chachi is one of the biggest fans of Starbucks I've ever seen. When we're on the road, going back to your earlier question, he will insist, no matter what meeting we're going to, we have to stop, get his iced tea, get his Starbucks.
I got to tell you, first of all, I love iced tea. As you can see, I just drink iced tea all the time. But Starbucks today, they sell more cold beverages than hot beverages today. Like their cold beverages off the chain. Everyone loves cold beverages, I think it's the whole climate change. Everywhere in the world is so hot, you just need an icy beverage. No one wants hot beverages anymore, you know what I mean?
But to be clear, the word spicy is reserved for Zach and his family, his wife, not you. Now, I don't think of you as spicy.
I don't like, I'm not, I just like a green iced tea, maybe a little black, anything unsweet, in the Trenta. I like the big one.
The big one, the big cup.
But you know what else I heard about Starbucks, by the way?
They're gonna make a 40-pack.
No, they're gonna keep the names, but they're chopping the ounces out.
Really?
Oh yeah. So
Venti won't be 20 ounces.
No. And not change the name either. It's just be Venti because everyone knows that, but it's not used to be like 17 ounces.
17 ounces.
Because they're gonna take a couple ounces out of each one. And by the way, with that many stores, a couple ounces here, a couple ounces there.
Yes.
I mean, that's gonna save a lot of water.
There you go. All right, but by the way, Shatsy, that could have been breaking news. They're gonna squeeze margins.
Double breaking
They
news.
gotta squeeze margins,
All right,
man. You gotta do that.
At the top of the show, we played our little Trivia Tuesday game. It's time for the big reveal. 3 factoids about our friend Zach. Just as a reminder, fact 1, Zach and his co-founder Bradley met in jail. Fact 2, Zach grew up in a town by the name of Oldsmar, Florida. Fact 3, Zach got hired by Panera Bread when he was just 16 years old. Then forgot to show up for his first day of training.
I don't think he forgot to show up. I think he told his friends that he got a job at Panera, and they just ripped him.
Hey, cool it, our boy Ron.
I didn't say anything.
Yes.
I'll tell you that
All right.
and his friends were like, what? Zach, are you crazy? You go to Panera?
All right, well, Shatsy, now it's time for you to guess. Which 2 are the truths and which one is the not truth?
My guess is, Zach, I know, is from Florida. He didn't say Oldsmar by name. He said it was near, Tampa. So I'm not looking at a map, but he said he was, from the Tampa area. So I'm thinking that Oldsmar is in that neck of the woods.
Right.
I haven't looked at my Google Maps. And the Panera thing, I could see that. I could see his friends were like, yeah, that's ridiculous. Why are you going to Panera, We're gonna go hang out and smoke butts behind the TGIFs, or something like
You're
that.
saying the not truth is
He did not meet Bradley in jail. No. I've met Bradley's never spent a day in anywhere near a jail. That guy, absolutely not.
Maybe he's just
His
all
hair's
cleaned
too
up now.
pretty.
Maybe it's all cleaned up.
No way.
All right.
No way.
Zach, tell our audience and tell me and Shatsy, which are the 2 truths, which is the not truth.
No way.
You guys nailed it. I did not meet Bradley in jail, albeit we do like to jokingly say that because we've had a little bit of an interesting run. I did grow up in Oldsmar, which is near Tarpon Springs, Clearwater, if you're familiar.
Clearwater.
And I was hired by Panera, and the reason I didn't show up because my friend showed up, and I told him that if he stood there longer than me, he'd win the bet, and that's what happened. So he stayed at Panera for a year. I never showed up. He won the bet. Game over.
There you go.
I tell you? Well, but we've chatted. I mean, look, when I go out for drinks with people,
You get to know them.
I gotta dig in, man. I want to know what's going on, man. I'm not talking business. Jimbo's all biz when he's talking. Jimbo is all biz. Shatsy, no biz. I just want to know what makes you tick. Speaking of making people tick, let's jump into. What is that?
You have new music for the quickfire?
Because the Olympics are coming this summer, Jimmy.
to NBC.
To NBC, a proud sponsor of the Olympics and the Hospitality Hangout.
Call me
Our
NBC
newest
Universal.
sponsor in Paris. July 26th, I'll say, something like that. The Olympics, but that's not why this music's on. It's on because it's the famous branded quickfire. It's the Olympics of podcast events, of podcast segments, Jimbo. This is the #1 segment behind Joe Rogan's podcast, is the branded quickfire. So, Zach, I've got 5 lightning round questions for you. Don't think too hard. I want you to be an Olympian, to feel like an Olympian. Are you ready, sir?
I'm jacked up.
All right. If you could eat dinner with anyone in the world, dead or alive, who would it be?
Larry David.
Nice.
I like that. Be so angry though. Be so angry. Right? He did an episode where somebody paid.
Yes.
They won a charity, and we had to have lunch with them. That was very funny. What's the most used app on your phone?
It's funny because I monitor my screen time now. It's now Nanit. Jimmy, you might have an appreciation. This is my kid's camera.
I'm a big Nanit fan.
What's Nanit?
Nanit is a.
Is that a porn site I don't know about?
No, opposite. But no, I don't like that. No, Zach, tell him what Nanit is, please.
It literally is a camera for your kids that look over their crib.
Yes.
So that thing's on throughout the night.
Oh,
You look at
really?
the week, 16 hours a day. The Nanit's on.
Oh,
Other
really?
than
It's like
that,
your ring. It's
slapped
like your
me.
ring for your.
Your ring for your kid. Oh,
It's
okay.
amazing. It's great.
So it's not a porn site. Okay. Would you rather choose a flight upgrade or a hotel room upgrade? What's more important to Zach Stein on his travels?
I'll upgrade with my wife. Flight upgrade solo. Put it that
Flight
way.
upgrade, room upgrade.
Wait, I think that's the best answer we've ever got.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Favorite Seinfeld character?
Call me Kramer because of the crazy Jufro. So I'm going Kramer.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, you do have a little. It's like an early Kramer. It's like season 1, 2 Kramer. Yeah, he's got this.
You and I are hair challenge at this point, so we're very jealous.
Yeah, no, anybody can look like Kramer.
Of Zach's flowing locks.
Here's where things get a little dicey. If you were to challenge Jimmy Rye to a game of Where in the World is Waldo, to see who can spot Waldo first, who do you have better odds of beating? Who could spot Waldo first?
Gotta go with the finance guy, I think.
What is that? He's got Caroline with glasses. What are you talking? How can he spot Waldo?
I
He's
can't-
looking at the
spotting.
numbers.
You ready?
He's spotting dimes, spotting nickels.
Dimes.
Really?
I thought that was coming my way too. I thought he was going to choose me as the
Gotta do
tougher to
it.
beat. Yeah, you were going to beat.
All right. Well, I got to tell you, I've lost another two. If we look at the branded quickfire, I would say I don't know how many quickfires we've had. I'll say it's over 100 and something.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, we do that.
Yes.
That with all the partners
Yes.
before Christmas, we make that special video of all the videos and all the answers of the quickfire, and it's just that one question, and it's really funny because every single person, it's like, oh, I beat Chatsy. Oh, I beat Chatsy. Oh, I beat Chatsy. Very rare does anyone say that.
I still think our technology guy, since Zach is the packaging guy, our technology guy, Mr. Sterling Douglas from Chowley, I think he may still have had the all-time great answer because the question was, who would you have better chance of beating? And Sterling goes, Shats.
Yeah,
He didn't even wait for
I
the
just
question.
said, here's number 5. Who would you have Chats? He didn't even wait. He did. But I got to tell you, yeah, this was great. This was really awesome. We are super excited about this relationship and this new partnership.
Yes.
How's
Zach
it rate?
Stein and the entire your co-founder Bradley and the entire team at Supply Caddy. We are super excited to be part of your company and have you be part of our portfolio and really can't wait to dive in with you guys and bring you to our community and watch be part of this journey with you that you guys are on. We also want to thank you, of course, for being part of the podcast today and for sharing your great insights and for all the work you're doing for the industry. You guys are so operator-centric. The idea of tailor-made, custom-made, bespoke packaging for various brands to really bring out the brand, I just think it's an awesome value prop that you're bringing to
It's not just the great packaging, it's the great pricing, the creativity, the delivery. It's helping operators don't have to think about these things. They're taking
Would you say
everything.
it's the perfect package?
It's the perfect package.
It's the perfect package. That's the 7 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor packaging
Performance.
performance.
All right, there we go. A lot of P's in there. A lot of P's.
6 or 7 P's.
And listen, if you want to get in touch with Zach directly, particularly any of you brands out there that think the Supply Caddy could be an ally to you guys, you can email the podcast team at podcast@brandedstrategic.com. We'd be happy to make the introduction. And finally, and always to our listeners, this wouldn't be possible to continue. We're up in over 200 episodes of the Hospice I Hangout, and all of that is because we continue to grow a subscriber base. And
75,000 monthly listeners.
Infotainment, baby. We're bringing some information and having a good time.
What's the URL Supply Caddy for all these operators that are listening that want to find some cool stuff and think outside the box? Do you see what I did there, Jim?
That's what you did there.
Outside the box. You thought I was going to say outside the bun, but I said outside the box because we're talking packaging.
Yes, I think it's supplycaddy.com.
What is it?
SupplyCaddy.com. You
I
can shoot
love
us an
that.
email also.
SupplyCaddy.com.
I give him a jingle.
SupplyCaddy.com.
All right.
For all your packaging needs.
All right. Zach, thank you so much for being on the
Thank you, boys.
podcast. This is Jimmy Frischling, your finance guy, signing off and passing it back to my friend, Mr. Schatzberg, to
Great
close
voice.
us out.
Thank you, everybody. This was great. SupplyCaddy.com for all your packaging needs.
Cheers, everybody. Thank you.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, guys.